Hey there, it's Andy again with another true wireless sport earbuds review. This time I have the Reflect Flow Pro from JBL. I've had a few run-ins with previous sport-specific models from the prestigious audio brand, and I have a mixed experience. Few good and a few not so good. And that's why I'm exceptionally curious to find out what their latest and toughest buds can do. Let's see the details. I said the Reflect Flow Pro were the toughest, as these buds can offer greater durability than not only their cheaper and slightly older previous version, the JBL Reflect Mini NC, but it can also take more of a beating than the JBL Endurance Dive, which is meant to be used for swimming, as it is IPX7 rated fully waterproof. But we got an even more robust build quality along with an IP68 rating with the Reflect Flow Pro, which make them fully dust and waterproof. That puts them in the same league with the Jaybird Vista 2, which are the toughest buds out there. So that's an impressive start. And moving on with the general design of the buds, they look almost identical to the cheaper Reflect Mini NC with a slightly different arch support and a larger body overall with a weight of 7.3 grams. All other details are very similar though. There is the same light reflective JBL logo on the touch buttons, and there is the honeycomb-like textured finish on the inside of the buds, which can provide you with a better grip. You also get 4 different sets of ear fin stabilizers or arch supports, whatever you might want to call them, and you can find 3 sets of silicone ear tips as well in the box. And all of that is supposed to help you with getting a snug fit, and in my case it works well, as I got a tight enough fit with the buds using the second largest fin along with the medium tips. However, I initially had the feeling that the buds were slowly slipping out of my ears, but they actually never moved, let alone fell out, and they only got the tiniest bit loose here and there, so at the end of the day I was happy with the fit of the buds, and after a couple of run sessions and workouts I managed to build up some trust in them, if that makes any sense. But that doesn't apply to their long-term comfort. It's okay, but it's only okay, so these buds will probably not receive a most comfortable earbuds award, or at least not from me. Onto the carry case, it looks like the Mini NC case on steroids. It's been juiced up quite heavily, to be honest. The build quality and the materials they used are the same as before, and you get the same USB-C charging port on the back, the same battery status LED on the front, and there is that little loop attached to the case again as well. But the bigger size of the case also brings 2 major upgrades along with it. First, there is the compatibility with the Qi wireless charging standard, which is always a welcome feature, and second is the longer total battery life, which is now 30 hours in contrast to the 21 hours you could squeeze out of the Mini NC. That's with ANC turned off. If you turn on ANC, it goes down to 20 hours, but it's still plenty good, and it delivers the average of its category, plus it's 6 hours more than the same spec of the Mini NC. The buds themselves can last up to either 10 or 8 hours depending on your use of ANC again, while the Mini NC can only be used for 7/6 hours with one charge. So there is quite some improvement for sure. Quick charging is the exact same as before. 10 minutes inside the case can give the buds enough power for 1 hour of use. But while the case got upgraded, we can see an interesting downgrade of sort when it comes to the wireless connection of the earbuds. The Reflect Flow Pro comes with Bluetooth 5.0 compared to the 5.1 version on the Reflect Mini NC. Not sure if it has any effect on everyday use though, as I found it easy to pair the buds with any of my devices, and I never ran into any signal related issues during my tests either. In terms of audio codecs, only SBC and AAC are supported, so we don't get any high-res options. Latency with videos is not a problem by default, but there is the smart audio feature in the JBL app, which offers you an optional video mode in case you experience any lip-sync issues. It might come in handy during gaming though, because there is no such thing as low enough lag with games. But the Reflect Flow Pro delivers a good enough performance there too. Single bud mode is supported, but multi-point use is not. We get 3 mics on each bud, and they can pick up my voice very clearly in a quiet room. The voice transmission quality shows an improvement over the Reflect Mini NC, not only in terms of sheer volume,
but the clarity of my voice got better too. Adding some background chatter to the mix will make it even more obvious that the new bud can deliver much clearer phone calls regardless of the surroundings, as the noise filtering does a great job on the Pro, while it can struggle more on the Mini NC, making my voice a bit muffled.
The touch controls work well with prompt reactions at a very high level of accuracy. You can customize their functionality in the app, and that's where everything gets a bit crippled. You have the option to control your media playback, volume, phone calls, ambient modes, and your voice assistant using the touch controls, but you cannot select individual functions and assign them to different tapping actions. All you have is these groups, so let's say you can have playback and volume controls, but in this case you will lose the ambient mode controls, for example. The touch and hold action will always activate your voice assistant and it cannot be changed. But it doesn't make much sense, as you can also use the Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa hands-free, which kind of feels like the tap and hold action is wasted. I know Bixby and Siri can only be activated by touching the buttons, so you might find it useful with whatever phone you use, but still, the overall functionality of the touch controls is a bit of a letdown in my opinion, and it did not improve one bit compared to the Reflect Mini NC either. You can get earbuds with much better touch controls for the same or for even less money. And I won't even get into the debate of whether A, the touch controls, or B, the physical buttons work better during a sweaty exercise, because it's B. But all that aside, the JBL smartphone app itself has some useful features and a well thought out structure in my opinion. On the main screen there is the ANC on and off switch, along with the different options for ambient modes, which we will talk about in a minute, and there are some settings for connection quality, including the low latency mode we already discussed. Still, on the main screen there is the EQ feature with a few presets and custom settings as well. I've seen apps with more EQ presets, but you can create and save as many custom EQ profiles as you wish, so that's good news for those who like to play around with the sound of their earbuds. Bringing up the settings menu in the app reveals a list of other features, such as the touch control remapping, or what JBL calls it, gestures, an auto turn-off timer, an auto play pause switch for the smart sensors on the earbuds, settings for your voice assistant, a tip fit test, and the Find My Buds feature. This last one is not a map and location-based solution, but it rather makes either the left or the right bud sound like a tiny little fire alarm, so you can easily find it if it's somewhere around. So the JBL smartphone app can offer you loads of features, but we already got all of these with the JBL Reflect Mini NC before. And now let's see if the ANC can show any improvement over the previous model, because honestly, the Reflect Mini NC was rather mediocre in that regard. First of all, the active noise cancelling is now adaptive, so not having any sliders or settings in the app makes more sense now than it did with the Mini NC. So all you get is the on-off switch, no setup required, there are no ANC tests, and no customization whatsoever. Whether it's a good thing or bad, I leave it to you to decide for yourself. As for the actual ANC performance, well, I have to say that I'm disappointed with JBL once again, because adaptive ANC or not, it is identical to the Reflect Mini NC. The passive noise isolation is not the best either, and even if you turn on the ANC, it barely does anything as far as blocking out the surrounding noises goes. Ambient aware and talk-through modes are basically the same as they are on the Mini NC as well. If there is any difference between the two buds, then it's the slightly worse wind noise in ambient aware mode on the Reflect Flow Pro, but again, the two ANCs are hardly distinguishable from each other. After comparing the JBL's ANC performance to the Jaybird Vista 2, I can say that it's a draw. And that just proves how mediocre the ANC on the JBL is, because the Vista 2 has never been a good performer to begin with. Compared to the Jabra Elite 7 Active, which I tested recently, both the passive isolation and the active noise cancelling are more effective on the Jabra, and the hear-through mode is also more intense on the Elite 7 Active at its highest setting. Wind noise performance is roughly the same, maybe a bit worse on the Jabra at the strongest hear-through settings. But even though there are 5 different hear-through levels you can choose from in the Jabra app, it doesn't have a talk-through mode like the JBL, which does not only let ambient noise in, but it also pulls down your music when activated, so you can actually have a conversation with someone without having to take the buds out of your ears. This is my favorite ANC feature on the Reflect Flow Pro, and this is the only area where the JBL could beat any of the earbuds I put it up against. So the ANC in general is not the strongest, but I love the talk-through mode with one not so little caveat. In order to make the talk-through mode or any ANC settings available on the touch controls, you have to give up either the volume controls or the track controls, and I don't like making such trade-offs when I believe that all of these features should coexist and work together at the same time. It's been proven by many other manufacturers that it can be done, so I hope JBL will catch up eventually and get rid of these limitations. Onto the sound quality, the JBL Reflect Flow Pro got a 6.8mm driver, which is larger than what you can find in the Reflect Mini NC. Still, these drivers are not the biggest I've seen, but the sound they deliver is quite powerful, and with the right fit, you can get a deep enough bass from the buds too. It's pretty much the same or maybe just a touch stronger than what the Reflect Mini NC could do in terms of bass response. But the mid-range definitely sounds more sweet and full-bodied to me on the new buds. The treble response is again very similar to that of the Mini NC, but with the tiniest bit of more details maybe. Everything remains smooth at the higher frequencies though, no ear-piercing harshness to be detected anywhere in the sound. Imaging feels a bit more focused, but the soundstage is of similar dimensions to the Mini NC, which means it's not too wide or spacious. You don't get as much bass as from the Jabra Elite 7 Active, for example, but the highs are also less sibilant on the JBL. But you get more bass with the Reflect Flow Pro than what the Jaybird Vista 2 can crank out by default, but all 3 earbuds come with great built-in EQ settings in their respective smartphone app. And if you want a more in-depth comparison between all of these top-tier sport earbuds, you will have to watch my comparison video, which may or may not be available at the time you are watching this video, so you are better off subscribing to my channel if you don't want to miss out on the most epic shootout there is. But to wrap up this review, I have to admit that I wasn't expecting a sport earbud revolution from JBL with the Reflect Flow Pro, but more of an evolution only. And we got some upgrades indeed compared to the Reflect Mini NC, such as the newly added wireless charging, the longer battery life, the sturdier and more robust build quality, and even if the design, the software features, and the general performance of the buds remain the same across the board, the pros are better earbuds than the Mini NC without a doubt. Whether these upgrades are worth the price difference or not is down to your personal needs. The Reflect Mini NC is now available for less than $100, while the Reflect Flow Pro is around $180 as of making this video, so that's a huge jump in price, which I'm not sure I would be willing to make personally, but again, that's just me. As for other sport earbuds in the same price bracket, and I mean the Jabra Elite 7 Active, the Jaybird Vista 2 or the Bose Sport earbuds, I'm working on that detailed comparison I already mentioned before, so stay tuned for that. But please let me know which buds would you choose and why. Would you get the Mini NC or the Flow Pro, or would you get something else instead? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. But this is it for today. That was my review of the JBL Reflect Flow Pro. If you liked it, then you probably know what you can do about it. You know, giving it a thumbs up or even subscribing to my channel. All of these nice things I will greatly appreciate. But I also appreciate the time you put into watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one too. So, see you soon.